Petro Poroshenko, thanks again for making the time. It is always good to speak with you. This strike, this barrage of missiles comes just days before the NATO summit. What message is Putin sending to NATO and the West by attacking Ukraine like this?
You're absolutely right. This is a disastrous day in Kyiv. And all around Ukraine, we already lost not 28, as you mentioned, but 31 people. And the rescue work is not finishing, and more than 100 is injured, heavily injured. And I saw with my own eyes the missiles in the Kyiv sky this morning, where our air defense working. 2 from 3 missiles was hit, but the price Ukraine pay every day is disastrous. Can you imagine that this happening is exactly at this day? And this is not a coincidence, because exactly today, the Indian Prime Minister Modi planned to visit Moscow, and the Prime Minister Orban of Hungary have a meeting in Beijing with the President Xi. And this is just a demonstration how ready Putin is for the ceasefire, for the peace. And this is my appeal. Don't trust Putin. Don't believe Putin. Putin, and I know it from my own experience, working with him for 5 years. And this is message for NATO. Right in front of the NATO summit, any attempt to delay the launching of negotiation with Ukraine is very dangerous for the global security. And my point of view is that we can learn the lessons from that, because this is not only the biggest and the most modern children's hospital. Ahmadet was attacked, and I'm proud that it is my team who building it. My charity fund was investing in this hospital, but also children's hospital in other part of the Kyiv was also attacked by missiles, and we have an injured and killed children. And this is just a symbol. What is the with whom Russia is fighting? And with this situation, we're still waiting the invitation to NATO. We're still waiting the full supply of F-16, because this is the only efficient way how we can fight for against Russian air dominance. This is the air defense missile. This is just a demonstration that with the air defense missile, we protect the civilian, we protect children. And today, only today, 38 Russian missiles was attacked on Ukraine, and 30 of them was destroyed by our air defense. And I can guarantee you that if we will use it, we'll learn Israeli mode when the total coalition will protect, will close the sky above Ukraine, that would be the most effective way how to fight. And if we are looking for peace, security, and stability, Ukraine should be in NATO. If we are looking for defeating Russia and triumph of democracy,
Mr. Poroshenko,
it should be in NATO. Sorry.
Yeah, let me just get a question to you. It is exactly on that point about NATO. You'll know the summit is beginning a couple of days' time. What would you like to hear concrete coming out of this summit? You'll know that the promise there of support will be there. There might even be a promise of more money. What, right now, would you like to hear concrete coming out of that summit once it gets under the way?
Please, this is not about the money, or not only about the money. Money is not allowing us to lose the war, but to continue the war. If you want to stop the war, it would be full membership. And as the results of the NATO summit, if we need to form one single word we are waiting. This word is invitation. And this is definitely in the interest of all member states in NATO. And Ukraine now, we Ukrainian soldiers, we Ukrainian armed forces, which was created by me, It is definitely fighting for all Europe. And again, if you want a peace, please open the NATO door for Ukraine. This is extremely important from NATO summit, the air defense, Patriot missiles, the long-range missiles without any limits for Ukraine, because Russia has no limits. Putin has no limits. And today, attack on the children's hospital is just a new evidence. Russia is a terrorist state, and we should treat them as a terrorist. And we should be extremely efficient, because with this situation, the toxic Russian terrorist danger would be distributed first on the continent and second globally.
Mr. Poroshenko, you mentioned that Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister of Hungary, is in China, and Prime Minister Modi is due to be visiting in Moscow. And you'll have seen that the Russian sort of narrative on this is that the footage of the destruction of the hospital is a sign of Ukrainian hysterics. They say it's a provocation ahead of the NATO summit. What kind of reception does that receive, do you think, from people like Orbán, people like President Xi, Prime Minister Modi? And how can Ukraine counter that narrative?
First of all, it would be no any other way out, like to recognize Putin as a military criminal and Russia as a terrorist state. Every single day, Putin delivered to the President Xi, Prime Minister Orbán, to Prime Minister Modi, the new evidence. And the point number two, I just want to use this opportunity to thank the old and new government of Great Britain, British Parliament, and first of all, British people. And I think it would be symbolically extremely important when one of the first visits of the new Prime Minister of the Great Britain would be to visit Kyiv and to see with his own eyes how important is our security and defense cooperation. And this is a war of democracy, war of freedom against war of dictatorship, war of autocracy.
Now, you know, the Defence Secretary was in Ukraine over the weekend, John Healey, and of course the new Prime Minister Keir Starmer will be meeting Volodymyr Zelensky at that NATO summit. Look, last time we spoke, we talked a little bit about the supply of those fast jets, the F-16s. You mentioned in our conversation today that they still haven't arrived in the numbers necessary. What's the hold-up in them getting there and then being used?
From my experience, simply no explanation. We do not accept any explanation for delay, because price Ukraine pay, this is the lives of Ukrainian civilian victims. Because this is not a game changer, F-16. This is not a miracle. But believe me, if we have 120 jet fighter in Ukrainian sky, the Russian bomber do not appear. Russian missile would have no opportunity to attack Ukraine. They would be simply afraid, the same way like we do in the Black Sea. You see that now when we have sea drones, we protect the trade ways through the Black Sea, and we solve the food crisis in the world. Same way it would be with the F-16. And point number two, that would be the air defense revolution, because the same way like we do it in Israel, if the NATO air defense system will protect the air above Ukraine, sovereign and independent state, that definitely significantly limited or even not destroyed the Russian ability to attack civilian target on Ukrainian sovereign territory.
Okay. Petro Poroshenko, former president of Ukraine, always appreciate your time. Thank you very much,
Thank you very much
for
indeed.
joining us today. Thank you, Petro.